Yes, everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Stephen Howson. This is a tactical preview of Manchester United against Manchester City. We've got an EFL Cup semi-final. Solskjaer needs a trophy. Pep Guardiola loves this trophy. Jose Mourinho loves this trophy. Problem is, all of those managers are still involved in this competition. I think United have got a hell of a conundrum here. This is probably the most winnable trophy, despite having Guardiola and Mourinho to face to be able to win this thing. Assuming Tottenham get past Brentford, and I am assuming Tottenham get past Brentford. Assuming that's the case, then Manchester United, to win this, Solskjaer is going to have to deal with Ancelotti, Guardiola, and Jose Mourinho. Now, even saying that, it still represents the best chance of winning a trophy. You're at the semi-final stage, you have a good game, you're in a final, and then it can be anyone's business to get over the line and win a trophy there. United do need a trophy. Solskjaer does need a trophy. But I think if we're being real with ourselves, an FA Cup didn't save Louis van Gaal. A League Cup and a Europa League didn't save Jose Mourinho. A League Cup isn't going to save Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So as I think all the people who already don't like him and already still fanboying over Poch or still over Jose, they're just going to say, well, it's only a League Cup, which is factually accurate. It is only a League Cup. And I don't think it would save anybody's job. I think it would help foster a little bit more confidence within the team. I think it would help settle a couple of nerves, and it certainly solves the he hasn't won anything argument, which is a valid argument because he hasn't won anything with Manchester United. And even though it's the easiest opportunity to get a trophy done, I wouldn't want to see us... I mean, it's 2 games, so you're not going to necessarily sacrifice the league for this. But it's not going to save his job if we fail in the league. The league has to be and should be and remains Manchester United's priority, or at least it should do. Now, there's a good chance that Guardiola rotates, but there's also a good chance that he doesn't. Manchester City the other night fielded a very strange side. Very strange side. Certainly one of the weakest City sides on paper, but they looked absolutely delicious against Chelsea. So this is a complete stab in the dark at what I think Manchester City are going to line up with, and then we'll get into what I think my United 11 is going to be. Now, Pep Guardiola loves the 4-2-3-1 this season. He sort of deviated from the 4-3-3 he likes to play, but he does also slide this into a 4-3-3 as well. American goalkeeper Zach Steffen was between the sticks for cup games this season. He made his first Premier League start against Chelsea at the weekend. We're expecting him to still feature for Manchester City. I would think Cancelo and Zinchenko are expected to start at fullback. With Laporte injured and Ake not fully fit, I think Stones and Ruben Dias probably make up an unchanged defence. With Jesus expected to be out and Sergio Aguero not fit, Kevin De Bruyne should start as the false 9 again, and I think this can cause United some issues. He'll be flanked by Foden or Riyad Mahrez on the right with Sterling on the left. With De Bruyne as a false 9, it should be a midfield 3 rather than as a 2 that Guardiola set in the Manchester derby last month. I think it's going to be Rodri ahead of Fernandinho as a single pivot, and then I think Gundogan and Bernardo Silva in front of him. But you could also see Foden in the midfield rather than on the wing in this situation as well. It's still a City team that's dangerous. It's still a City team that you can certainly get punished by, and United have to be bang on with this. Kevin De Bruyne is the star man. I think no one's shocked at that in any way, shape or form whatsoever, and I think people are going to love pitting him and Bruno head-to-head for who is the best midfielder in the league. And I actually think if you extrapolate on that, it might be the best midfielder in the world is the conversation. And for me, Kevin De Bruyne, because he's done it over a slightly longer period, has got the edge on Bruno at the moment. But I think he's also playing in a better side, and a side playing with more confidence and assurance. And I wouldn't mind seeing if Bruno's able to keep this form going for a couple of years, then there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever it could be Bruno. But Kevin De Bruyne has been one of the, if not the elite midfielder across Europe now for several seasons, with Jesus and Aguero taking spells out. He's been utilised as a forward in recent games and he's done all right. Since the start of last season, he's been directly involved in more Premier League goals than any other player in the competition with 44, which is 16 goals and 28 assists, which is crazy numbers. City got hit with COVID trouble in the new year, particularly at the back, but De Bruyne has been ever present, and he does pose a massive threat for United's chances of reaching a cup final under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. In all competitions this season, De Bruyne has scored 3 goals and provided 12 assists, which is double the number of any other teammate, and he has created an impressive 2.56 chances per night this term, and from 906 passes in total, he's maintained an accuracy of 81%. He's elite. There's no doubt in it whatsoever. Right then, how do Manchester United beat this Manchester City team? Starting 11-wise, I really liked the 4-4-2 diamond that United featured against Aston Villa, and there's reasons that I would like to see that replicated. Almost unchanged. The only change I want to see is Telles in for Shaw. You all know why. But a back four then of Maguire, Bailly, Wan-Bissaka, a midfield diamond with Fred, McTominay, Pogba and Bruno, and then Martial and Rashford up front. How do you beat this Manchester City team? You win the midfield battle. How do you win the midfield battle? Let's put extra men in there. The one thing that Pep Guardiola and his famous Barcelona team was very good at was recycling possession in the midfield by just having an extra man in there. United going with a 4-4-2 diamond really throws into flux a lot of the way Manchester City want to play and how they defend as well with our 2 strikers. And let's be honest, it's 3 because Bruno's getting forward a lot as well and Pogba's also getting in the mixer. The one weakness that United have got in this system is that our fullbacks aren't productive enough going forward. They're not direct enough. Now, for all the people that have been absolutely piping Luke Shaw off for putting in proper ordinary performances going forward and absolutely dreadful performances defensively, what you get out of Telles is someone that looks forward and plays an early ball, something that Luke Shaw's never done in his entire career, playing an early ball. An early ball means that you get in behind the defence, means you get to turn them round. You're not seeing him stop, put his foot on top of the ball, and then pass to someone else who's also stopped going, what are you doing, pal? So we go with Telles and we go with Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka actually looked really good going forward in a diamond against Aston Villa. Different prospects against Manchester City, but, you know, it is what it is. The midfield was very strong because all 4 of Manchester United's midfielders had a job to do. And because they was able to just go and do that job, United looked very good against Villa. Even though we were troubled at times, Villa are a good side this season. And we allowed the game to ebb and flow. And when we got on top, we did all right and we managed to get ourselves into goal-scoring opportunities. Manchester City will play a much higher line than what we saw against Aston Villa, and that enables us to try and use our pace and get in behind those. The energetic players who are good in the transition, you're talking here Fred, you're talking here McTominay, they're going to be key to catching City's defence far too high up the pitch and off guard. United need to use all of our attacking outlets to apply as much pressure as possible to the City defence. And this hasn't changed in any season with Guardiola. They have the same frailties game in, game out. And United, particularly Marcus Rashford, is just an absolute kryptonite for them. He's been off the boil for a few weeks, Marcus. I think if you can get him back at it, if you can get him in good positions, there's no better way to get him back in form and back in confidence than putting United through to a final against our domestic crosstown rivals. In possession, a quick ball through the middle or over the top of the defence. We've seen so many of them with Rashford pulling over to the right-hand side and then coming in from that area. He's an absolute genius at it, the way he pulls it off. And I think that United now are looking for that sort of run, and it'll be there on time and time again against City. Now, you've got to force them into the wide areas, and this is why a 4-4-2 diamond works fantastically well in this situation. The key to defend against any top side that move it around very quickly is to keep it compact at the back and ensure that you maintain your defensive shape. This is very easily done when you're strong in the middle with a diamond, and then you try and force them to go around the outside here. City will probably be using a midfield free or some sort of variant of a midfield free, but they will have 2 advanced players instead of a head of a holding player, and they're going to look to create space with movement and passes in and around the edge of the box. Whenever Guardiola's side are struggling to find an opening, you start to see them going left and right, trying to pull the defence apart, try and create gaps in between. If United can defend as a unit, be strong in front of a defence, and then force them to just go all the way around the outside of them, you can hold them off. We saw yesterday against Liverpool, Southampton did a phenomenal job of that. I wouldn't like to be trying to hold on in that sort of style, but that's exactly what they did. They stayed extremely narrow, just a little bit wider than the width of the goalpost with the back four, slightly wider, but right on top of them for the midfield, and you just force them to keep going round. Now, with no real target man for them to aim for in the box, United are going to have the likes of Maguire and Bailly. We should have aerial dominance, Pogba, Matic potentially being on the pitch. Playing City out wide and forcing them to do what Aston Villa did to us would be a very effective defensive strategy, particularly when they don't even have an Ollie Watkins who might even be able to get his head on it. This would be a very effective way for Manchester United to try and defend in this, and then as soon as you win possession, get it up the pitch, put it into the path of Marcus Rashford, and let's hope that United can get this done. That's what I think it's going to go down like. That's how I think Manchester United can beat Manchester City and get to our first final under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the watch along over on Stretford Paddock for the game. Laters.